Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Andrew. And we're both native speakers living here in Poland for some time now.
Right, and today we're going to talk about cars and parts of the car.
That's right. Now, often I have had difficulties expressing myself at the mechanics, and I've had difficulties translating certain words because car parts tend to be different depending on where you are in the English language.
English too.
That's right. So in Great Britain, they say things a little bit differently than they do in America.
And we'll get into all of it.
That's right. So let's start off with the basics. So let's talk Maska, the Polish word. Now, what do you say in English?
The Maska, the hood.
The hood.
Yeah.
That's right. We talk about the hood, right? So something wrong under the hood. I had to have a look under the hood. But in British English, of course, they say something different.
They say the bonnet, right? Because I guess that's some kind of form of a hood, right?
That's right.
It's a thing, you know, a bonnet, a hood.
A lady's old hat, right, from the 18th century.
You know, so.
But we do say hood in America. Now, could I say bonnet in America and people would understand me? I said, oh, there's something wrong under the bonnet.
I guess somebody might understand you or not. And, you know, so you probably if you learned textbook English here, you
would say bonnet.
Learned bonnet. You may have learned both. But bonnet, British, and then look under the hood, you would be talking to an American mechanic and tell them to look under the hood.
Well, that's right. But I typically tell my students, now I may be wrong, is that I say, use the American English because it's more prevalent. Everybody understands it because of Hollywood, American TV. Now, maybe I'm wrong because Top Gear is so popular in the United States, so perhaps people do now understand British English more than ever.
They probably do if they're watching it in English and not having, you know, somebody talk over it, you know, then yeah, they probably
translation.
will be getting that. Well, they have a lecturer here who just talks over everything, and so... But
in America, for the most part, we do understand British English. However, sometimes people do put the closed captioning up, right? So they have the text. But for the most part, Maska, hood in American English, bonnet in British English. See how people react. Now we'll move on to the other part of the car, the other side, Bagażnik.
Right. The Bagażnik, the trunk, or the boot.
The trunk or the boot. And that's the same situation.
Yeah.
Trunk, American English, boot, British English.
And I guess the translation is closer with Bagażnik because it's associated with baggage, trunks, luggage, something like that.
Well, trunk, that's right.
Yeah.
Skrzynia is what it actually is, right? You would put it on the back of the car, and obviously we kept that name. But the British boot, I don't know, we kept our boots there? I really have no idea.
I don't really know. I guess it's, you know, connected with the back end, like, you know, your booty on your body or something. I don't know really what the connection is, but
okay, we have no idea, but that's something that perhaps our audience can tell us about in the future. Yeah. Why do British people call it the boot? That is kind of strange. Perhaps there is some etymological reason for that. Now we're going to move on to Szyba, which we've talked about before when we talked about windows, that fantastic topic.
Yeah.
Now, Szyba for the most part in Polish means windshield.
The windshield, but I guess it's for any window on the car,
that's right?
Yeah.
Now, British, of course, let's go back to British, of course, they say windscreen.
Right.
They say the windscreen, and we say the windshield. So for the most part, that means just the front glass, the front pane of glass. Now, I can't say Szyba could mean anything in Polish. How do I say? Do I say the car window, the passenger window, the back window?
I would just call any other part beside the windshield. You call the window, the passenger window, the driver's side window. Yeah, I mean
we don't have a special word.
We just talk about the front and the back, and then anything else we call a window or a mirror if you're talking about the.
We'll move on to mirrors later, but so windscreen, British English, windshield, American English.
Right.
Otherwise. Windows.
Windows.
All right, that's pretty easy.
In American English.
All right, you moved on to mirrors.
Right, I did. So
you jumped right onto that. Lusterko, right? So we have a couple of them in the car, more than a couple, actually 3 typically, right?
Well, yeah, you've got your rear view.
Right, wsteczne, right? So Lusterko wsteczne, which would be your rear view mirror because you're looking behind you, rear view.
Right.
And then you have boczne, right? So
side mirrors.
Lusterko boczne is what you would say. Would be a side view mirror.
Do you say side view mirror? Because I don't.
Or do you say side mirror?
I say side mirrors.
Really?
I
would think side view mirror.
It's I guess so, but I know what I don't say it, but
rear view mirror.
I say the rear view mirror, and I say the side mirrors. Maybe you're supposed to say side view mirrors.
Okay, well, there's something that we weren't prepared for. So, side view mirror or side mirror, it's a controversy we haven't
We'll have
answer
to-
for you. But you can say side mirror for sure.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I say it, so it must be fine.
Oh,
Anyway.
you are a native speaker, so we have
Yeah.
to listen to you. Let's move on to Hamulec.
Hamulec is the brake.
Is the brake.
Right, and then you have your handbrake.
That's right. You have Hamulec ręczny, right?
Yeah, right.
In America, we also have that, although we typically drive automatic. So you do have the handbrake,
Right.
emergency brake. Sometimes we have, and of course, just a regular brake. Now, remember, brake is a little bit different. It is a homophone. That means it sounds the same as the word break, meaning to break something. Break, broke, broken, which is an irregular verb. Now, brake, meaning to stop, is B-R-A-K-E.
Right.
And that's a verb as well
And a
as a
noun.
noun.
And I guess in Polish you have hamulec, and you also use hamować, so it's the same word with in a different form. So it's really the same thing.
It's the same idea.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be too difficult at all. And then we move on to the word silnik,
Right.
which should be easy. That, of course, is under the hood, typically,
Yeah, the engine.
is the engine or the
Right.
motor. Now, is there a difference between those two words?
Is there a difference between motor and engine?
Because they say motor as well in Polish,
Yeah.
but they also say moto, which is kind of strange because it means motorbike or motorcycle.
Because it seems like it's anything with an engine, something powered by an engine, right?
Yeah, motor.
Yeah, like
But
because
engine,
if you
typically you're talking about a car.
if you're talking about, I know my husband sometimes looks at motorycznie, literature, and it's it's about all things powered by engines. So
But for the most part, engine is fine. You
Yes.
can also use motor.
yeah, I think
Right.
so.
However, we can't say motor to mean any other vehicle. We can't say moto, as they might say here, moto, like if they use this like moped or
Right,
motorcycle. You do need
motor.
to say motor,
Yeah,
motorboat.
Right.
But if you're going to use motor, typically that just means the engine. You can
Yeah.
have it as some sort of abbreviation.
No,
I believe.
I don't think so.
I got my motor outside. No.
No.
We got the engine outside. All right, let's move on to the lights. Światła, right?
right.
So tylne,
Right.
which would be in American English for sure tail lights.
Your tail lights, your headlights,
And your headlights, okay,
and your.
przednie,
We
right?
forgot blinkers. Oh no, we didn't.
No, we didn't get there yet.
Yeah, we didn't
so
get there.
let's just talk about the
Okay.
British English because they don't say tail lights. I don't think they say, oh, I lost a tail light.
What do they say?
I think rear light, don't
Rear
they?
light.
It sounds too American.
Yeah, your tail. It's.
Well, you
true.
got lost a tail light out there.
Yeah, you busted a tail light. Yeah, I
But
don't
typically
really
we say
know.
lights. This is an important one to remember. Please don't say lamps. Don't use any of the other words. We've talked
Your
about
lamps.
this before.
Is that some kind of Britishism? No,
No.
that's just a Polishism.
We can't-
to
yeah,
say
that's-
that. They'll say that.
There's a
as
lamp.
there's my
The
lamps.
lamp, remember,
instead of-
are objects that light up a room
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are typically found on some surface, typically the floor or on a desk. We do not use lamps when talking about cars.
No. Okay. So that's something that people may just, when they're thinking in Polish, translate and say my
I
lamps.
think.
I've heard it. I've
And
heard
then you
it.
begin to say it.
Right.
But we cannot say that in English.
Yeah. and
My
that's-
front lamps.
No. It's the thing. You live someplace long enough, you start picking up really strange habits, really, really strange ones, and
Okay. So
Anyway.
let's move on to other lights. Lights.
right.
No lamps,
Your
lights.
Directional
That's right.
indicators. Yes.
Indicators.
And-
So in Polish, they use a couple of words. They use, for example, MIGACZ
Right.
is one, which could be blinker.
Your blinker. Your blinker.
Or Kierunkowskaz, right?
Yeah, your
So
directional.
it's a directional or signal.
Well, you.
Turn signal.
Your turn signal. That's what I think. That's an American way to say it. Your turn signal. Did you signal? Did you, or your blinker? And I guess you indicate in British English, right?
Yes, but
Yeah.
I would just, can you say flasher? Because I've seen that as well.
No, that's something totally different.
You don't accept it. Because I would say, oh, I blinked or I used my blinker, which is more like
Yeah.
that MIGACZ. Kierunkowskaz. It sounds so too much work for me to say.
Right.
As indicator for a Polish person would be. Or turn signal. Place your
Turn signal. I like turn signal. It's
You do.
clear. And if you really want to focus on the blinky light, you can say blinker, right? MIGACZ.
But no flashers.
Now flashers.
Okay, I thought in Britain it might be
That's
acceptable.
another story for another time. But anyway,
All right.
All
Why
right.
don't we go to Akumulator?
Right,
Which
you're-
everybody says my accumulator. Now, can I say that in English?
no, I would never say that. Battery. And I guess that works.
Car battery.
Yeah. And
Automotive
even-
battery.
Yeah.
But you can't say my accumulator.
I wouldn't say it, would you?
Because I've seen it written, but I don't know if it's accurate.
You know, it might have been some, I don't know. I wouldn't
Perhaps,
say it.
but for the most part.
Some badly translated thing, you know, but.
But for the most part, we do say car battery.
Your car battery, yeah, your
car
battery.
battery.
I mean, I guess if somebody really doesn't, everybody knows what a battery is. So even if you.
They'll understand you.
Yeah.
It has to be battery. Car battery is the easiest. It's the one that you should remember. We do use that word, okay? In Polish, of course, you have bateria, but you use akumulator when you're talking about an automotive, a car battery.
Right.
However, in English, we do use battery quite.
It's more of a general term for any.
As a general term, that's right.
Any kind of.
All right, now we're going to move on to parts that are more complicated for us Americans.
Oh.
Sprzęgło. Sprzęgło. Now, that's even just difficult to write, to say. Now, what is that in English? It's
So
the
that's your
clutch.
Clutch, yeah.
Clutch.
The clutch.
And now, we don't learn that because typically Americans drive automatic.
Most people drive automatic. I mean, you do have stick shift cars in the United
Okay, so let's
States
move
that
on.
people
So
drive.
Sprzęgło, of course, is first
Yeah.
clutch, which is essential for those people who use a manual gearbox, which of course is Skrzynia biegów, right?
Right.
So in English, in American English, we would say, oh, she drives manual?
She drives a stick shift.
That's right.
And, you know, if you want to really, if somebody doesn't know what you're saying, because I've actually had native speakers from other countries say, what is a stick shift? You know, and you
Well,
say,
in America,
say,
we say stick because it looks like a little
Right.
stick, right?
Yeah, you're actually, yeah, exactly. So I guess you would say it is a manual transmission car, right?
You say that so formally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But we would say, oh, it's not automatic.
Yeah, I don't know how to drive or anything. It's not automatic. So, yeah.
So that's right. So that's where the clutch does come in, that extra pedal that confuses us Americans, where we say, oh my gosh, my grandfather learned on that. But we don't know how to use it. Now, other countries also don't, Japan being one that I can think of, but there are other places that don't use the manual system, the manual gearbox. But do remember gearbox, clutch, of course, sprzęgło, automatic, and you can simply just say manual if you don't want to say stick shift.
Right.
I think it would
manual.
be the easiest. Manual, right?
Manual, yeah. It's
Okay.
a manual.
Now, another problem I always have is that when you get onto these things, well, oh, I forgot one thing, of course, and those are wycieraczki, so which we use. All right, so what do we say?
Wipers.
Wipers.
I mean, that's pretty much the same, you know, there's no difference in trans. Wycieracz is to wipe something. So,
Okay, so simply to wipe.
Wipers.
Now, of course, if you're British, you would say windscreen wipers, and we say windshield wipers.
Right, okay, yeah. You would say windscreen wiper. You would say windscreen
Say that 3 times.
wipers, and that's, I'm not going to do that again. And, but I would just say windshield wiper. See how much easier that is? Rolls off the tongue, so do it that way.
You can just say your wipers. It's the easiest.
Wipers,
Just
yes.
get rid of all that W.
Yes.
All right. So now I want to move on to one that is a typical false friend. And that's my students will say to me, here in Poland, I filled up the car with benzene.
Right.
And you cannot say benzene. It's not acceptable because benzina means, in English,
Well, it's like the natural gas. It's not benzene, right?
no, it's gas,
Yeah.
gasoline, not natural gas. Okay,
Well,
this is going to be very complicated
yeah.
here. Because first and foremost, you need to remember that benzina is not benzene in English because benzene is a different chemical altogether.
Right.
It's
You
a
don't
diff-
put in your
you
car.
You don't put it in your car.
Yeah.
Please do not use benzene in English. For the most part, we do not use benzene in English when we're talking particularly about cars. But benzina, when we're talking about, for Americans, we would say gas.
Well, you would fill up the car, right?
With gas.
Yeah. And
Gasoline.
Yeah.
It's an abbreviation for gasoline, but there is natural gas, which is quite different. Because people in Poland do use gas as they do in the States,
Yeah.
which is natural gas. You have to be specific. You have to say natural gas or gas meaning gasoline.
Yeah.
However, the Brits make it easier because they just simply say petroleum, petrol.
Right. And that, I think, is the safest way to when you're talking, when you say petrol here,
I think it's the easiest.
it's understandable to everybody. Everybody knows what it is.
So I would stick with
yeah.
petrol, even
Yeah.
not being
British. It seems to be the easiest thing because even I, for a second, went, wait a minute.
Yeah, then you get all confused with the gasoline and the gas.
Benzina, and you have to
benzene
really
and
think
benzina,
about it for
yeah.
a second if you're not automatically.
I filled up the car
Right.
with petrol. Now, of course, in the United States, we would never say that, but among other people here in Europe, I think it's acceptable, and I think it's
Yeah.
the easiest way. In America, we understand petroleum. we do know
Yeah.
what petroleum is. It's just that we don't use it in everyday language. Now, of course, moving on to the interior, or back to the interior, we have divanik. Yes, divan samochodowe. What do we call these? We do not call them little carpets.
No, those are the floor mats.
That's right, the floor mats.
Floor mats.
Can you say floor mat? Car mat?
I call them a floor mat.
Floor mat.
My floor mats.
Okay,
Your
gotta
floor
clean
mats.
the floor mats.
Right. Floor mats are disgusting. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So the
really.
mats, it's pretty easy.
Floor
it's just
mats.
mats. But then we also can use mat in front of the house, right? Just to make things
that's a
really
doormat.
complicated.
There's a doormat and a floor mat.
A doormat, which is wycieraczka
Right.
in Polish, which is not the window wipers.
Yeah, that's where you're meant to wipe your feet.
In front of
In front
of the house.
In front of the house, yeah.
Apartment. Okay. But for the most part, divanik, floor mat.
Yeah.
Floor mat. Okay. Tapicerka. This is this horrible one. Upholstery.
Upholstery.
Upholstery. That's pretty easy, upholstery, but for you to pronounce it, it's not the easiest word for Polish people to say. Upholstery.
Probably not. I think upholstery. It's
I think
it's
you
not
say
that hard.
upholstery.
Upholstery. You eventually don't say upholstery.
Can you say something? Upholstery. But upholstery, can you just say, oh, the seats are dirty, the fabric's dirty, the leather's dirty?
Sure. I would say that just as easily as upholstery. Just say, oh yeah, the material is worn out or something like that.
You don't have to clean the material. It would be easier perhaps. You don't have to remember that word, upholstery, which is a bit difficult. All right, now moving on to the most important part of the car, where the driver sits is behind the
wheel.
So in Polish, you have a similar expression, za kółkiem, right? So you can say behind the wheel. But you were just telling me that you could also say at the wheel.
Sure,
Which
you're
one's
at
more
the wheel.
common?
Are you behind the wheel? Are you at the wheel?
I'm behind the wheel today, or I'm at the wheel, or
I'm
he
at
was
the
at the
wheel.
wheel.
He's at the wheel of the car. I don't know. Myself, personally, I tend, I guess, to say at the wheel, but I don't think it's a major difference.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's another word in Polish, kierownica, besides kółko, right? Which is kind of English,
in the
like
driver's
wheel.
seat, something.
In the driver's seat, so
Yeah.
exactly, in the driver's seat, that would be good. So maybe for za kierownicą, so because in English we can't say behind the steering wheel.
You're actually behind. You're at the.
You're behind the wheel, at the wheel,
Yeah.
but not behind the steering wheel, not at the steering wheel.
Zakierownica is actually really behind the steering wheel. Behind the wheel,
literally.
behind the wheel. It's all kind of the same.
But I would just say
but-
steering wheel when we're talking about the object. Otherwise, if you're talking about yourself as a driver, I'm in the driver's seat, or I'm behind the wheel, or at the wheel.
Yeah.
However, remember that kierownica can be used in different ways in Polish that cannot be used in English. So when you're talking about a bicycle, for example, scooter, we cannot say steering wheel because it's not a wheel. So we would say handlebars, which are those two bars and you have them as handles. So I hope we haven't confused you. I hope that we've helped you a little bit here with cars, just these simple parts. And it is quite important because when you do have a problem with your car abroad, you do want to express something in English. These words are quite essential and you don't want to make mistakes. And so, as we have in the past here in Poland with many, many things.
Yes, all types of things. But yeah, I hope this was educational and helpful to you. If not now, maybe in the future.
All right, bye-bye for now and see you soon.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.